मैम रिकॉर्डिंग ऑन हो गई है।
आई होप स्क्रीन विजिबल है मेरी।
हाँ जी मैम।
ठीक है, थैंक यू सर। So if anybody can just, we completed our unit number 1 and unit number 2 in the previous class. Today I will be starting with the revision of chapter number 3rd, that is financial strategies and resource mobilization. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So I'll be starting with our chapter number 3rd, that is financial strategies and resource mobilization. Um, in the previous two chapters, we understood what is social enterprise, what are the types of social enterprise, what all strategies do we consider while we are working in a social enterprise, or what strategies do we need to focus on for the social enterprise. And in the chapter number 2, we understood how to come up with the idea, how to understand the gap, how to bridge that gap, what sources can help us in identifying which, uh, you know, how which sources can help us in identifying the gap. We understood the concept of business plan. How does business plan, why it is important, what importance does it has when while formulating a an enterprise or entrepreneurial idea. How does it act as a roadmap or a blueprint? We studied that. In our chapter number 3rd, we will be understanding about the financial strategies and what resources do and how do we need to mobilize the resources so that a social enterprise can scale up or work better. So we will be talking about two things. One is the financial strategies, and the other part is resource mobilization. Okay. Can you see my slide is changing? Can
Yes,
you all
ma'am.
see? Okay, thank you. Because I've just shared this particular screen, so there are chances that if I change slide, you do not see the changes in the slide then.
ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आ रहे हैं अभी मैम। 3 पॉइंट्स हैं, इसके 3 सब
Perfect,
पॉइंट्स हैं। अंडरस्टैंडिंग।
perfect. Okay. So what I have here with us is mm, okay. So what is the objective of this chapter? What we are going to understand while when we will study about this chapter? Number one is understanding the financial strategies for the startup venture. What financial strategies do we need to think of or to work on when we are starting up a venture? Or what are the funding options that are available? What is the capital structure decision that a startup needs to make? How we can manage the funds right at the early stage of a startup, that we will understand here. Then second is diverse funding models available for the entrepreneurs. Like, apart from the financial strategies and the funding options, what all funding models do we have? How can an enterprise, um work on various funding models, and identify and navigate any complex financial sources that we will understand. And also we will understand about how to manage the finances during the scaling phase. Now, scaling phase is something that you must have seen something like this. You must have seen something like this when we talk about the PLC. product life cycle. Sorry, this, I don't know, it's drawing something extra. So you must have seen this. Where is the cursor? Okay, yeah. So you must have seen such PLC curve where this is the introductory phase, this is the growth phase, this is the maturity phase, and this is the decline phase. I hope you remember this. So while an enterprise is starting up, they are in their introductory phase. They are working in this particular phase where they are starting up, people are getting to know. So here the strategies will be different. Scaling up means when you are growing. So when you are growing, when you're scaling up, you are moving towards this phase. So you're slowly moving from startup to a growth phase, which is this one, right? Everybody wants to grow their business for as long as they can, right? So while working in the scaling phase, this particular scaling phase, they need to make sure that all the resources, all the fundings that they have must be, must be proper, and they must be, sufficient for a startup venture to scale up the operations, right? So here we will, for the scaling, for the funding phase, let me just erase this. Okay. Then, so here in this phase, we will be focusing on how to manage, how to plan for the long-term financial planning, investment strategies kya ho sakti hai, what will be the resource allocation for sustainable growth and impact. All these things we will try to understand. First thing is we will understand the strategies for the startup venture. Then we will understand various funding models available for the entrepreneurs, and then third, we will understand how to manage finances in the scaling phase, and what all resources are required, how to mobilize resources. That is all we will be understanding here in the unit number third. Now, the main focus of financial strategy is to maintain balance between social goals and the financial health. There are few things that you need to remember. There are few things that has to be on your tips. First thing you should know what is a social enterprise. That you should know the difference between social for profit and not for profit. You should know that not for profit works for both, for social impact rather than the financial impact, whereas a for profit has a social impact, but they are also generating profits, right? Their features, you should be clearly aware of that. Then you should know that whenever we will be talking about the financial strategies, one point is going to come. uh, you will see this uh, in repetition in your further coming chapters, that there should be a balance maintained between the social goal and the financial health. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि focus is completely on the financial health and we are neglecting the social goal, or the focus is only to maintain the social goal, but there is no focus on a financial health, because anyway, both the things need to have a balance. Just give me 1 minute. So both the things need to have a balance between them, right? So when we are talking about this diversified funding sources, Uh, so diversified funding sources is basically funding source that includes grants, donations, impact investments, and revenue generations from the sales of goods and services. It also reduces any risk and promotes stability, right? So diversified funding sources is basically you're using grants, you doing donations, and we have studied everything in the previous chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, actually, in our unit number Second, we understood what is grant, what is the difference between grants and donation, what is impact investment, what is social impact bonds. We understood that. So we have diversified funding model. And then which one do we use? That depends on our need and on the social enterprise model and based on our risk taking capabilities. Then sustainable business model. Diversified funding sources is basically you have multiple sources of generating the financial resources. Then or basically the funding. Sustainable business model is basically a model that aligns social impact with the revenue generation. Sustainability means that what you are trying to do, whatever you are planning to do, you are capable to do it for very long time, right? Sustainable practices are the same. So sustainable business model is means that whatever you're planning to do, you need to make sure that you are able to do it for a long time, or a social impact that you will be able to, that you're going to achieve for very long time. For example, controlling pollution, right? So pollution ko control karna, it's a very long term journey, and working in such a way that it is sustainable, right? Okay, sorry. Then we have is cost management and efficiency. Cost management and efficiency means what? That management and efficiency means that operational cost should be manageable. You are not compromising any of your social objective to achieve the for the for the work. This involves streamlining processes, utilizing technology, and sometimes relying on the volunteer support. So here, you are trying to maintain the cost. You are focusing on the efficiency, and you're making sure that any operational cost does not compromise with the social objectives. Then we have the fourth point, that is long-term financial planning. When we are talking about the long-term financial planning, we basically focus on that social enterprise needs to plan their finances with a long-term perspective, considering the future scaling, potential risk, and need for investments in the social missions. So there should be a long-term financial planning, but not the short-term, right? You need to think of the future. Now, when you're making a business plan, you are projecting 5 years of financial statements. So that is already a long-term plan that you've thought. And same if you're trying to to start with a business or start with a social enterprise, you need to have a long-term financial planning as well. Now, what is the meaning of resource mobilization? A meaning of mobilization means that social enterprise needs to focus on how they can, you know, get the resources, right? And how much resource they can get beyond the capital. So, resource mobilization means nothing but accumulating resources and within the capital that you have, or maybe you can even beyond the capital that you can get. Now when it comes to the resource mobilization, who all can be help in that particular department? Number one is community and network engagement. If you have a strong relationships with the community and you have a broader network, then through volunteer support, through partnership, and through knowledge sharing, you can get a lot of resources in terms of knowledge, in terms of partnership, in terms of volunteer support, in terms of anything. Then strategic partnerships and collaborations. When you're trying to collaborate with the organization, businesses, and the government entities, it can help you provide the access to the additional resources, expertise, and channels of for the impact. So when you are collaborating with the other people, other businesses, they can come up, they can bring their own knowledge, they can bring their own expertise, they can bring their resources, and that way you can have access to the resources. That is also one source of resource mobilization. Then we have is leverage financial assets. Leveraging non-financial assets mean that you are mobilizing the using intellectual property, expertise, or brand value that can be as crucial as the financial resources. Then human capital development. Human capital development is one of the crucial thing, because a trained staff, a trained volunteer, or a staff with proper training and development provided by the enterprise can be an asset to the enterprise, right? Because of their skills, their knowledge that are needed to achieve the goals. It is very mandatory. Now, what are the challenges and considerations when it comes to navigating the unique landscape of the social enterprise finance? So, challenge सबसे बड़ा क्या आता है जब हम सोशल एंटरप्राइज के फाइनेंसेस को मैनेज करते हैं? सबसे पहला चैलेंज आता है दैट वी नीड टू maintain a balance between profitability and the social mission. If not, then there will be conflicts. Number two is measuring and demonstration of the social impact. Now, social impact ko measure karna, it's a very crucial task, right? Because there is no such matrix set by anybody. For example, if you want to see for a debt equity ratio, तो एक measure set हुआ, debt equity ratio should be 0 to 2:1, राइट? तो ये कोई रेशियो का आपका दिया है, अगर ये इससे ऊपर आता है तो वो है, नीचे है तो मतलब यू गेट ऑल द if and buts for that situation, because you have a matrix set. But for a social impact, the matrix is not that defined, but you need to come up with a matrix based on which you will be evaluating yourself, your own business and your own performances. So वो social impact को measure करना, उसका demonstration, it is very much needed, and it is very challenging and resource intensive, because जब आपको funding चाहिए होगा, how will a social enterprise attract the investors to fund in their project? That becomes very challenging. And then last is careful consideration and expertise for navigating the regulatory and tax implications for the various funding sources and business activities. So tax implication becomes another challenge, because किस regulation के अंदर क्या काम कर रहे हैं, that becomes very difficult to identify. So it can be challenging. So a financial strategies. So basically, to overcome these challenges, there should be a social enterprise must and they must require a holistic approach that integrates the financial sustainability with the social impact. Financial sustainability with the social impact, and leverages a diverse range of resources and nurtures relationships and networks that are critical for the long-term success. Also, by adopting all these financial practices and innovatively mobilizing resources, these social enterprises can thrive and significantly contribute to the societal changes. So basically, we need to overcome all these challenges. A social enterprise must follow holistic approach, right? Financial sustainability and social impact must move side must you know must be given equal priorities, right? Then a diverse range of resources should be accessible to the social enterprise. There should be a nurturing relationship and a trusting relationship amongst the community and the social enterprise, so that they can so that startup can have a leverage from the society and their inputs from the society which can help in the betterment of their work. So, financial strategies for a startup are of three major types. Number one is equity financing, number two is debt financing, and number three is bootstrapping. Equity financing are of two type, venture capital and angel investor. Debt financing is of two type, loans and credit lines. Bootstrapping is further of two types. One is self-funding and operational revenues. When I'm talking about the equity finances, equity, we all know what is equity. Equity is something that a person or an entrepreneur or any businessman selling small portion of their shares to the public or in the exchange market or to the investors in s- and in exchange for the capital. That is what equity is all about, right? So it is very suitable for the high growth startup with a significant capital needs. Any startup that need so much capital, that needs uh, you know a high capital. So for such startups, equity financing is very well suitable. Now, what is the advantage of equity finances? That you can raise large amount of money, which you do not require to repay, right? Investors comes and brings in their expertise, mentorship, and networks. What are the challenges? That dilution of the ownership and control, and second is pressure to deliver high growth and returns. See, there is no need to require the repayment unless and until the equity financer does not ask for the money back, right? And with the interest. So, large sum of money can be raised because people, um, in case of debentures, in case of debt, you have to repay it back from the next month onwards. But in case of equity, it is not such a case. Then we have is venture. Okay. So in case of equity financing, we have two types of investor investing: venture capital and angel investor. Now, venture capitalist is a person who has a very high skills, high investment bankers, highly skilled investment banker, and a true entrepreneur that only invest the money if the idea, if the startup has lot more potential. They usually invest in the startup they have which have lot of growth potential. They do not invest, and they invest in and they expect higher rate of returns on their investment. It is very suitable funding source for the social enterprise which has higher growth and scalability. Venture capitalists typically invest in the companies on the way at the various stages, uh, from early to the later, but generally a venture capitalist comes in the early stage of your social enterprise or any enterprise. So a VC is very significant source, and VC is also very plays very important role when it comes to the scaling of the business. VC funding actually. So when a venture capitalist invest in the business, they come up with their own resources. They come up with their own industry experience, and they come up with their resources as well, industry insights, valuable networks. So all this basically helps a startup to grow with more speed, right? So accepting VC funding implies a compromise on the ownership at some level and also control. So there are chances where if you've taken funds from a VC, a VC will come barge in the all the and he will cross check everything that you're doing, because he's expecting higher rate of returns. So they can build pressure, they can potentially impact the social enterprise's social mission as well. So that's for the venture capital. Then we have is angel investor. Now angel investor is basically an investor who also has high net worth, and also they have accessible funding options, and they generally come up in the early stage, invest in the early stage. Along with the financial backing, angel investor also offers mentorship, network access, and advice, same as VC. So, for the social enterprise, they can leverage the benefit of flexible investments, investment terms, and potential alignment with the social mission. So they can work in the better way. So the amount of capital investment is comparatively smaller than the venture capital. So the amount that a venture capitalist brings in the social enterprise is comparatively um sorry, angel investor, that amount that angel investor brings in is slightly less than the venture capitalist or venture capital. But also, along with depending upon the investor, the experience, industry knowledge can vary from angel investors to the other investors. Now, here is a quick comparison table that you can see that a venture capitalist basically is a type of investor that invest in institutional investors. Though those are the institutional investors, they basically um, includes firms specializing in the startup funding. For the angel investor, it involves individual net worth investors. For suitability of a VC, a social enterprise with higher growth potential and scalable business models. Whereas for the angel investors, it is they generally invest in the early stage of the social enterprise and those are needing for the initial funding and the mentorship, right? Capital account, basically in case of VC, they invest large investments and which are suitable for the scaling needs. And whereas angel investor usually does the small investments and which are suitable for the early stage funding needs. Involvement of the VC is highly active. uh, in case of angel investor, in case of angel investor, it varies. It can range from hands-off to active mentorship and guidance, ownership and control. So it basically, in case of VC funding, if a VC funds your idea or project or startup, then they are so they expect a small portion of ownership and control. But in case of angel investor, they do not have any ownership. They do not claim any ownership. But and also the investment is usually less than the VC. Expectation is higher expectations of for the growth and returns with the performance pressure. And in case of angel investor, more flexible expectations with a focus on potential um, over immediate terms. In case of, if we talk about the advantages of VC, so there are large capital infusions, expertise, mentorship, and networks. In case of angel investor, the advantage is that they provide access to the capital. It is a valuable, they also provide valuable mentorship and also flexible terms and conditions. Challenges could be for the VC, ownership dilution, high performance pressure, and alignment with the VC goals. Whereas when we talk about the angel investor, so the funding can be funds can be limited. Um, the experience and involvement varies from angel investor to the investor. Next we have is debt financing. Just give me 1 minute, I'll be back. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. So, yeah, debt financing. In case of debt financing, it is further classified into loans and credit lines. When we are talking about loans, in general, if we talk about debt financing, it basically means borrowing funds from somebody else, right? And repaying back with the interest. It is highly suitable for the startups which has a clear ability to generate that much cash flow so that they can repay the debt back along with the interest. Now, what are the advantages of debt financing? Number one, that it maintains the ownership, the owner has not to has no the owner does not have to dilute their shares, dilute their ownership and control. They have 100% control over their business, their social enterprise. Interest payments are often tax deductible if they are paying the interest. There are some provisions under which the tax is not charged. Then challenges, a regular repayment creates a pressure, generating cash flow is a pressure, and often requires collateral or a solid risk credit history, right? Next we have is um, loans and credit. Now, loan is something that you generally, you seek from your bank. The normal loan, as the traditional loan works, the loan here is also the same. It's the lump sum amount money or lump sum money that is borrowed from the financial institutions, all lenders, and is repaid over the specific period of time with the interest to the investor. This can be only raised for some specific needs, such as if a social enterprise has to do some capital expenditure or any fund expansion projects. These business these for such business needs, loan can be taken. What is the advantage of loan? That they allow business to retain the full control, full ownership, and also lender does not lose any equity. Now, what are the challenges? That loan can impose a burden, right? Because it requires regular repayments, regardless of the business's profitability. Additionally, obtaining a loan requires collateral and a solid credit history, which can be challenging for a new startup. Next, we have is credit line. So for credit line, you can just think of your credit cards. A credit card has a limit, right? Let's say you have a credit card and it has a limit of 50,000. Today you go for a shopping and you have the need of 10,000 rupees. You will swipe your credit card, you will only use 10,000 rupees. Rest 40,000 rupees are safe, right? You are not touching that 40,000. So the next month you have to repay to the bank that 10,000 with the interest, right? So that is credit lines. It is the same way, it works for the organizations or the enterprises. It is very more flexible than the traditional loans. Here, businesses can access the funds up to certain limit and only pay the amount interest to the amount that they have used, right? So it is a very excellent option for operational expenses, for short-term operational costs, for unexpected expenses. So credit line is it provides a safety net to the business, but without any need to reapply back for the loan each time you want the funds. So credit lines is the same way, exact same way that a credit card works. Now it's a difference between loan and credit lines to give you proper clarity of the topic. So if I talk about nature of financing, for loan you have a lump sum amount that you borrow and repay it over a set period with the interest. Credit line is that you have to just repay the amount and interest back of what you have used uh, amongst the within the limit that you've got. Typical use of the loan is for the capital expenditure or one-time projects, but for the credit line, it is for managing cash flow, short-term operational cost, unexpected expenses of the social enterprise. Repayment structure for the loan is that you have to repay it over a scheduled period of time. Every month, you have to repay it back, certain limit with the interest and everything. In case of credit lines, it has to be flexible, only pay for what is used. It is usually requiring periodic payments. Ownership impact, it has no equity dilution, retains the full control and ownership. In case of credit lines, there is no equity dilution. Again, this point remains same for the credit lines and the loans as well. Advantages for the loan, you have a predictable repayment schedule suitable for large specific investments in the social ventures, whereas for the credit lines it is flexibility, it offers flexibility in usage, ideal for the short term financial needs and the social enterprises. What are the challenges for the loans? Regular repayments regardless of the business profitability and need for collateral and creditworthiness. In case of credit lines, it requires a disciplined financial management, potential for over reliance leading to the financial strain. So these are some of the challenges, and this is a table that gives a perfect view of loan and credit lines. Next we have is bootstrapping. Now bootstrapping, what does it mean? Bootstrapping is basically where you use your personal savings or operational revenues to finance the business. Now it is very suitable for the entrepreneurs who wish to maintain the full control for the on the business, and they require very low um, capital for in the beginning, right? So it is very it what advantages do they have for the bootstrapping? That the owner has full control and ownership. They avoid It avoids any interest repayments or any investor's expectation. There is no equity and debt thing here. One of the challenges that the entrepreneur may use their personal financial resources. And entrepreneur might have limited personal finances, and once they have to use the entire saving is at the stake, and it can also slow down the business growth due to limited capital access. Now, bootstrapping is very significant strategy in case of financial landscape for the social enterprise because it involves using the personal savings, assets, and the operational revenues to fund the business. But this approach particularly is relevant for the social enterprise who are basically are in the very early stage of the development, and they are very much focused on that. They have this thing that this our personal saving can complete this process for the beginnings. So bootstrapping is further divided into two categories: self-funding and the operational revenue. Now self-funding is basically that you are uh, giving your own using your own money for in the startup phase and for the initial operations, whereas operational revenue is basically reinvesting whatever income you've generated from the business activities and putting it back into the business. So that is the difference between self-funding and the operational revenue. In this slide, we will be understanding about the advantages and challenges of the bootstrapping. Just give me 2 minutes more. Sorry, it's taking. We are like something is going on simultaneously. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll be back. I just want you to read or go through this advantages and challenges of the bootstrap. I'll be just back. So, when we're talking about the advantages, bootstrapping basically allows the social entrepreneurs to maintain the full control and ownership of the enterprise. Uh, it it also fosters the culture of financial discipline and sustainability, and emphasize all the cost-effective operations. So when a person is using it, their own fund their own resources, then they will be very careful while in the in the cost effective approach, and it will also boost the practice of financial discipline. This approach also avoids all the complexities and the obligations associated with the external financing, such as interest payments and equity dilution. The growth of the social enterprise is limited by the entrepreneur's financial capacity, which can lead to the slower scaling. There is an inherent personal financial risk that particular that uh, you know particularly when the personal savings and the assets are used, then limited resources may restrict the ability um, of the social enterprise to capitalize the market opportunities. So at one side it can help in maintaining full control and ownership, build, foster the financial discipline, cost effective operations, then, all that. But on the other hand, it can also restrict the ability to capitalize the market opportunities quickly, to spur up the growth of the business that are quite challenging when it comes to the bootstrapping. Now, moving on to the next slide, strategies for effective bootstrapping. It is always required to opt for the lean operations approach, which is basically to minimize the expenses and maximize the use of available resources. Lean operation approach means minimizing all the expenses and maximizing um, the use of whatever resources you have. Then reinvesting profits back into the business is a key strategy for sustainable growth. And then building a loyal customer base, ensuring steady streams of revenue, and which are vital for the bootstrapped enterprise. Now, this is again a very the same thing that we just discussed. It's in a tabular form, which you can, I will share this PPT and you can go through this. An analysis of various aspects of funding model. What all funding models are there? Number one is blended finance. That is blended finance is basically you are using different combinations of finances or different forms of funds, for example, public and private funds, to reduce any investment risk and increase the potential for social impact. It often involves mix of grant, debts, and equity to make projects feasible that might be over otherwise be too risky and not profitable enough for traditional investors. Advantages. What are the advantages of the blended finance? Number one is that one can have a strength of funding from the various sources, and it can also attract broader range of investors that can help in mitigating the risk and also enhance the potential impacts. Challenges. It becomes very time consuming, it becomes very complex when you have a blended finance. Second thing, that balancing the interests and expectations of the diverse funding parties requires careful negotiation and management, so that becomes very challenging. Next we have is, now these are some of the diversified funding models. Next we have is government subsidies and incentives. It's a policy driven approach where subsidies and incentives are provided by the government, which is designed to support certain initiative that a social enterprise and the government align together. Right, for example, in the sectors of health, education, and sustainable energy, or maybe electricity and everything. right? Or EVs, electronic vehicles, and everything. So, so these include tax breaks, these includes direct financial subsidies from the government and the other supportive measures. Now, what is the advantage that the social enterprise objectives should align with the public policy goals for the stable funding sources, for that government to be the stable funding source for that non-profit organized social enterprise, and also it can make certain socially beneficial projects more financially viable. What are some of the challenges that what are the some of the challenges that are of government subsidies and incentives? Number one is that in case there is change in any political climates or policies, priorities, the funding can be uh, changed. So this thing is not sure. Also often come with specific compliances, requirement, and performance benchmark. So government funding always comes with the compliance requirement, like what things they need to fulfill and what is the benchmark they need to attain. So all such requirements are there and needs to be fulfilled by the social enterprise. Next we have is community based financing, that is local engagement and investment. So this approach basically involves raising funds directly from the community, which can include local investments models, community shares, and cooperative funding structures. So basically here the fund is directly raised from the community, and it directly emphasizes the involvement of the community and investment in the social enterprises mission. What are the advantages? Number one is that it deepens the community engagement and builds a loyal base and local support. Next is it ensures that the enterprises activities are closely aligned with the community needs and the values. Challenges, it becomes very limited in terms of the social of the scale of funding that can be raised, because um, and second thing is that the demand it demands significant effort by the organization to build and maintain the strong community relationship. If that is not maintained, the community based funding can be financing can be a of a risk. Then is program-related investment, a philanthropic funding with a return. Now, this PRI, that is program-related investment, is basically made by the foundations and activities that for that further their charitable goals, expecting repayments, but often on more favorable terms than the commercial markets. So they basically they provide low level, low interest of loans, equity investment, and other financial instruments to the social enterprise uh, based on the program that they are trying to fund, right? So advantage is that the capital can be accessed at potentially lower costs as compared to the commercial lending. So when you get the funds from the bank, and so here you get the funds at very low cost. It aligns the investments with the philanthropic goal and foundations. What are the challenges that are faced? That availability of PRIs can be limited in case in such funding model can be limited and with specific eligibility and thematic criteria. Also, it requires alignment with the particular mission focused areas on of the foundation. Now, here are some of the diversified funding we've seen. One is blended finance, another one is government subsidy, community-based financing, and PRIs. Now, hey, these are some of the examples of the funding sources or funding models. And so you can go through these examples, right? Uh, I'll just move on to our Okay, I think now you will not be able to see the screen. Just let me know if you are still able to see the screen or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to see the Word file?
Yes, ma'am.
You're able to see the Word file. Pakka?
अब हट गई मैम.
हाँ 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 वही ना मैं दोबारा शेयर करती हूँ. Just give me 1 minute. I'll reshare it again. Now you'll be able to see it.
Yes, ma'am. Visible.
Okay, great. We just did what? We just did these. Crowdfunding, corporate partnerships. ये तो हम थर्ड में सेकंड चैप्टर में कर चुके हैं नहीं. PRIs हो गया है. ठीक है. Now we have a strategic financial management and scaling ventures. Now when we are trying to scale our venture, उस उस केस के लिए, उस सिनेरियो के लिए हमें how do we need to do the financial management, or why strategic financial management is important when we are scaling the venture. Now it is a comprehensive approach when it comes to financial management, and it is very essential for the social enterprises to scale sustainably, not sustainability but sustainably. Scaling sustainably means we are focusing on growing our operations uh, with keeping that we need to do it for like 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, 80 years, 100 years, 150 years or so, right? So the approach to the financial management is very essential so that our operations can be scaled sustainably and ensure that the financial strategies align with the whatever the social mission or whatever the social enterprise's mission is, right? So first thing is that the capital allocation and resource optimization is very important. When we talk about the capital allocation, we need to make sure that the funds that we are accumulating, that should be that should be efficiently used and effectively used for the scaling of a social enterprise. Decisions that needs to be made, like where to invest, how to invest, how much to invest, what we are expanding, is it service, is it outreach, is it technology or human resources, and every scaling aspect should be aligned with the company's mission, right? And also understanding the cost benefit ratio, that how much impact, how to maximize the impact within the smaller amount, how much best can we get in the resources that we have. Then sourcing in sourcing growth capital. Sourcing funds is basically scaling that requires a strategic approach, and there is need to maintain the balance between and the need of additional capital while maintaining the enterprise's mission, right? So this might involve equity financing, debt financing that we just studied. Then selecting the funding source that aligns with the enterprise's value, the impact objectives, and it is very crucial that and critical to sustain its missions during the growth. Next is financial planning and forecasting, which is long-term financial strategy. Now, this strategy here, the strategy is to set a long-term goal, develop roadmaps to achieve them, and consider a unique blend of social objectives and the business models in the social enterprise. Next is if we are forecasting the financials of the social enterprise, and it is very important that the forecasting must be accurate so that we can understand the future needs, future financial needs, and उन्हीं को ध्यान में रखते हुए आज in the present we work to achieve those future needs, right? Risk management in social impact context. It means that the social enterprise needs to face and has to face unique risk. Market risk हो गया, impact risk हो गया, there is operational risk, and facing all these risks. Even after that, they focus on scaling their operations. So they need to know how to they need to forecast all the risk, and they need to make all the mitigating strategies in way advance, so that um, and that to be very flexible. Then we have is implementing effective risk management strategies. Uh, it is very essential so that the financial risk can be diversified. Impact and that not and that must not impact the risk assessment, and it must ensure that the enterprise's sustainability and mission, it sticks to the mission. Then performance monitoring for sustainable growth, data-driven insight. One must regularly monitor all the financial performances so that its effectiveness can be evaluated, and it can be used for the scaling strategies. Key performance indicators, that is KPIs, must be set to check the both financial and the social impact matrix. And analyzing this financial data, the social impact must provide insights necessary for the informed decision making and strategic adjustments. Next is balancing funds and social goals, that is sustainable growth and impact. There should be a balance between the financial and the social goal. Whatever the money that the financial strategies must maintain, enterprise must maintain the balance, and this balancing requires a holistic view and holistic approach. So the enterprise's performance must be considered, the returns in terms of financial as well as the impact, whatever the impact they are targeting. Then stakeholders communication and engagement, which is maintaining the stakeholders relationships. So effective communication with the stakeholders, including the funders, beneficiaries, and community partner, is very important. Uh, the transparency is very much required, and you know it really helps the stakeholder, helps to build the trust amongst the community and the stakeholder, and also aligns the stakeholders expectations with the enterprises missions, right? So involving stakeholders in the financial discussion is crucial, because it will help the enterprise to have an insight of the stakeholders interest, so that based on their interest the entire decision can be made smoothly, right? Okay, so we just have this last topic from our unit number third, that we are through with it today. I'll just start with our unit number 4, which I have it in my PPT. I'll just reshare that PPT with you all. Okay. I made the PPT for chapter number 5 as well. I'm not able to find it. Where did I put that presentation? I have to find it. Chalo, I'll just see. Um, okay, you're able to see the screen. And also, please do remind me if I taught you the chapter number 5 through a PPT or the PDF, or the Word file. I actually thought that I made the PPT for chapter number 5, but I cannot see it now. I have to see where it is. I'll check it later. Fine. Okay, there you go. I found it. Done, done, done. Just give me 1 minute. I will just paste it to the folder. I will share the PPT for chapter number 5 because that is like 100% ready. For the unit number 3, there is just one thing that I need to work on, the last section. Once that is done, I will also share the PPT for chapter number 3. Chapter number 4, I guess it will take me like, by the next class, I'll be able to provide you with the chapter number 4's PPT as well. So, I think I'll just start with our unit number 5 instead of the 4 because the PPT is not complete and I just don't want to. I just want that PPT must be prepared. I'm just resharing again this PPT for unit number 5 and it is done. I hope you all can see the screen.
Yes, ma'am. Unit number 5.
Done.
Sustainable growth and strategy.
G. So I'll share the unit 4's PPT later on. This I'm sharing.
मैम आप ये ग्रुप में भी शेयर करोगे?
I will share it. That's what I'm saying. I will share the PPT for unit number 5 like right now after the class. Unit number 3 का last section PPT में add करना रहता है. That I will add it and then share it. And the PPT for unit number 4 I will share in the next class.
पर मैम कौन सा ग्रुप है? मैं अवेयर नहीं हूँ.
There is a CR. आप उनसे बात करो. I send the PPT to the CR and
ठीक है.
हाँ, उन्होंने
Rolex
नरेंद्र.
के हरेल.
Yes,
ma'am.
yes,
हरेल.
yes. हाँ, you can ask for the PPT from him. I've shared the PPT.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
ठीक है? Okay. वो PPT यूनिट नंबर 1 और 2 दोनों की है. So unit number 5 basically is all about the sustainable growth and strategic decision making in the social enterprise. Our main focus in this unit is to learn about social, scaling the social impact, aligning the mission growth with the mission, strategic decision making, sustainability and adaptability, emerging trends and the future directions. This is what we are going to study in this chapter, in this unit. So when we talk about the scaling social impact, अभी हमने पिछले unit में हमने scaling की बात करी थी, but scaling was the secondary term. That in that unit we were more focused on the financial strategies, financial management strategies, and aligning those with the scalability, right? And the resource mobilization. Now here we are trying to talk about the scaling of a social impact. That means expanding the reach, keeping the mission intact, and balancing the growth and sustainability. Next, we will be talking about the aligning growth with the mission. So, आप growth तो कर रहे हो, but it should be aligned with the mission. It should ensure that the growth supports the social good. There should not be any mission drift, and the success of a social enterprise is equals to the social impact plus sustainability. Strategic decision making, that means think of long term, analyze the impact of decisions, and use the decision models or tools. Then sustainability and adaptability, that is adapt to the changing trends and innovate and stay resilient. Emerging trends and future directions mean that we need to stay aware of the new trends in the market and also plan for the ongoing growth and sustainability. Now, strategies for scaling social impact basically focuses on how to grow. So growth is not just business. It Growth is not just business, but it is the impact expansion. Matlab, we are not talking about the growth in terms of business, but rather we are talking about growth in terms of the impact expansion, right? We want the impact can be increased. For example, today I'm targeting to teach 50 female or 50 children from the slum areas. That impact should increase over the time, not the business, right? So impact expansion should be like I should be able to do this growth, um, you know work on this, growing the impact. Like आज टारगेट 50 है, अगले महीने it can be 100, or maybe next year it could be entire Delhi, और उसके अगले महीने और साल it could be 5 or 6 states of the India, or the country. So that is what expansion is all about. Impact expansion. जब भी हम बात करें scaling की, scaling is all about social impact, right? So the key ideas is basically it should be mission driven. It should focus on growth. It should focus on community, and it should work based on the partnerships. Partnership with the community, partnership with the stakeholders who all are interested in your social enterprise idea. And the focus must be on how to expand, right? Now, here are some of the strategies where here we are talking about strategies for scaling social impact. So now we are talking about some of the strategies. Number one is replication and adaptation. Number one strategy is what? Replication and adaptation. Now, replication and adaptation means that कोई मॉडल कहीं पे कुछ काम कर रहा है, we replicated the same, but उसको हमने अपने environment के हिसाब से change कर लिया, that we have adapted to it. That is replication and adaptation. In terms, for example, I say, if I take a business example, McDonald's is a franchising through franchise model. It is working. Lekin everywhere the menu is different, right? In India, the menu is different. In Bali, the menu is different. In Paris or in France, they opened in a unit in the France. There, the menu is different. So everywhere you go, McDonald's adapts to the menu. They replicate the same burger patterns that they have, but they adapt to the menu. So replication and adaptations mean that taking a successful model and replicating into the new context or location and adapting the model to fit the different social, cultural, and economic environments. So it is all about copying a successful idea and using it into the new place, but with the necessary changes. So replication and adaptation means copying a successful model and modifying it to suit the different conditions. Now, this example is Akshaya Patra. Akshaya Patra is a Foundation. It's a non-profit organization in India that serves the nutritious meal to the school children under the midday meal scheme. So this has expanded its midday meal program to multiple states, adapting to the local tastes of the and nutritional needs of the area. So the main mission of this Akshay Patra Foundation is that no child in India should be deprived of education due to hunger. So they like if they are serving it in South Delhi, South India, then the menu will be changed. If they are serving the same in Bihar, the menu will change. So replicating the model but adapting to the social needs or cultural needs or economic needs. Then we have a service or product diversification. Services or product diversification means that we are expanding the products and services to increase the reach and the social impact. Now, the social enterprise do not just stick to one offering, just one product or one offering, but they expand their product and services to serve more beneficiaries, address multiple social issues, and more offering and focus on more offerings. So more offering is equals to increasing more impact. One of the example is Selco India. Selco India is a social enterprise that works primarily in the area of decentralized renewable energy solutions in the rural geographies of India. Now, this is focused on low income rural and underserved urban communities to bridge the energy access gap. So basically, Selco India provides the energy services to the underserved, to the low income rural areas. But along with providing energy, Selco India also provides um, solutions for the health, education, and livelihood, and also address the broader needs. So this thing is same service or product diversification. So it is not just primarily it started with the perspective of providing energy to the rural low income area, uh, people, individuals, but धीरे धीरे they also diversified into education, health, livelihoods, and etc. So that is your product diversification and service diversification. Next we have is policy advocacy and thought leadership. एक Policy advocacy and thought leadership. It means that influencing government policies and guiding ideas in the society and creating a larger impact. Basically, um, an enterprise that is working on the model of what government has decided and trying to create a systematic change that goes beyond the direct services of the enterprise. So here, instead of helping one only directly, the enterprises influences the rules and laws, spread the awareness and idea, and try to create a system-wide change, not just a small impact, but a larger impact, right? So CRY, Child Rights and You organization, basically it's an Indian NGO founded in 1979 by Ripon Kapoor, which is dedicated to ensuring that the underprivileged children and their basic rights to live, learn, grow, and play must be retained. So it worked across 20 states, and this is a law by the government. But this Cry Foundation is promoting the idea, promoting the same thought, and spreading awareness among the individuals. So it has worked around 20 plus states partnering with the grassroots organizations to address education, healthcare, nutrition, and protection from the child labor or marriage. It influences the child rights policies while providing on-ground support to the underprivileged children. Then we have is leveraging technology. Leveraging technology means using technology to increase the reach and impact. For example, using mobile apps, online platforms, data systems to help reach more people, work faster and efficiently, and technology. Some people think that technology, and nowadays technology means more impact and less effort. So leveraging technology is basically using digital tools to expand the reach and improve the efficiency, right? Efficiency of the social impact initiatives that a social enterprise is taking. One of the example of India is eQutir. Um, so this is the organization that it is a social enterprise or utilizing a decentralized technology-driven model to empower the small holders, farmers, and rural communities. It was founded in 2009 and it uses a PIE model, that is participatory IT-based enterprise-driven model to connect the farmers to market input suppliers, and financial services, aiming to improve the livelihoods and promote sustainable data driven farming practices. It uses technology to connect small farmers with markets, information, and resources, scaling its impact across the rural India. Next, we have is capacity building. Now, capacity building means that strengthening the organization's skills, system, and resources to support the growth. So, the focus is on improving the staff skill and training, infrastructure, processes that helps the organization to handle more work, manage the growth efficiently, and also gives and that and the idea is that the strong capacity can also help in the smooth scaling. So capacity building basically means involving improving the internal capabilities to manage the growth efficiently, working on your staff training, working on the infrastructural development, and working on the process optimization is very crucial for scaling. Now, Teach for India is a non-profit organization founded in 2009 by Shaheen Mistry. They had this aim to eliminate educational inequity by placing college graduates and working professionals as a full-time teachers under the resource school for the 2-year fellowship. So the mission was to provide the excellent education to the children, fostering leadership and bridging the educational gap. It's basically alumni of the alumni started working. It started educating their juniors and work, and this created a chain for so alumni working in um corporates teaching the students, so that way this training and development follows. What are the challenges that comes in the scaling social impact? Number one is that, when we are trying to scale up the operations, one thing can be understood that scaling challenges can be considered from the perspective of resource, quality, and mission related issues. Now, scaling increases the impact but requires careful planning to overcome any challenges and ensure the sustainable growth. So, what are the challenges that are there? Number one is resource limitation, as we just discussed here in the previous slide, that uh, scale scaling challenges को हम तीन perspectives से समझ सकते हैं. One is resource, second is quality, and third is mission related issues. Now, when we are talking about the resource limitation, what is the challenge? That one might have limited funds and staff. Then impact of scaling slow hoga. What will be the mitigation strategy? That will be that proper funding, proper partnership, and technology can help in mitigating this particular issue. Then second is mission versus scale. That risk of mission drift mission versus scale means that are we focused on the mission or we are focused on the scalability? But the point is that there should be a balance between the both. So the risk of mission drift means there are chances that you might, um, you know, you might not, or the organization might not stick with the mission, but rather focus on the scalability. So that is a mission drift. They're leaving the mission and they're focusing on the scalability. And then focus shift to the, this is a challenge. Impact on scaling is focus the shift to the growth. So the focus of the organization will be shift to the growth. I'll just correct it side. Later I might forget. So this is a challenge when it comes to this. Okay. Impact on scaling is that this. What will be the mitigation strategy? It should be mission alignment. Whatever you're working on, it should be aligned with the mission, right? It should be aligned with the mission. Okay, I'll just change that. Here it is again quality and effectiveness. What is a challenge? When it comes to quality and effectiveness, it is hard to maintain the quality when one is scaling. ये तो हम सबको पता है. These are some of the challenges that one might face, right? What will be the impact on scaling? Impact on scaling will be risk of weak outcomes. Obviously, if you are sacrificing with the quality, then the outcome will be also weak. And what will be the mitigating strategy? That will be proper training and monitoring. Now, these all are the challenges when it comes to the scaling. I'll just give me 1 minute. Arrange, send backward. Done. There you go. Even last time we karaya tha, I just forgot to change this. Now this is complete. Now, challenging, same what we've just discussed here in a very brief, it is written here, right? It's the same thing written here. So challenge is that resource limitation, managing quality and effectiveness, maintaining quality and effectiveness, and balancing with the social mission. When we talk about the strategic growth and sustainable impact, what is strategic growth and sustainable impact? Strategic growth means that when we are talking about the growth, we also need to make sure that the impact is sustainable. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम financially grow कर रहे हैं, but impact compromise हो रहा है. ये चीज नहीं होना चाहिए. So मिशन और मार्केट को दोनों को अलाइन करना बहुत जरूरी है. सो दिस पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन बेसिकली एक्सप्लेन्स हाउ अ सोशल एंटरप्राइज कैन बैलेंस देयर सोशल मिशंस with their financial sustainability for the strategic growth. So here the social enterprises must balance the social mission and the financial sustainability for the growth. The growth should ensure economic viability without compromising impact. And the success depends on aligning market demands with the social goals. So how to align mission and market, few of the strategies are: number one, market research and social need analysis. So here one can do the market research. The purpose is to understand the both target markets and the social needs the enterprise aims to address. Then studying the market trends, customer needs, gaps, along with understanding the social needs and challenges of the target community. And application, it is aligning the products or services with both the market demand and the social need. So for example, a social enterprise focusing on education might identify a lack of affordable educational tools in the market segment and develop cost-effective educational resources to gap. So either you can just take this example, or I have also I have also mentioned a real life example here that can help you understand this particular strategy. So, Goonj is a social enterprise that focused on addressing the clothing needs and identified a gap in the urban and rural resource flow. So, they initiated a unique model where the urban waste material or clothes from the urban houses are uh, the good clothes are given to the rural to the people who cannot afford purchasing clothes. They give those clothes to such people, or if any cloth that cannot be reused by somebody else, so what do they do is they recycle it and make some products out of it and then resell it. So that is how they identified the social need analysis, did their market research, and they are successfully running their own idea. And then we have is value proposition refinement. Value proposition refinement means that the purpose is to craft a compelling value proposition that resonates with both the customers and the social mission. It is very important that whatever idea you want, uh, whatever idea you have, it must resonate with the consumer and the social mission. The process is to involve the refining enterprises offering to ensure that they provide tangible values to the customer while advancing the social needs. Basically, um, Amul is a dairy industry a cooperative model that revolutionized the Indian dairies. Dairy industry in India. So what do the Amul how did Amul started working? They just firstly understood that the dairy farmers are being exploited. People purchase products from them at very low cost and they sell it at higher prices. So what did Amul Cooperative started? That's few of the people they said that you sell your product to us at the market rate, whatever you want to sell, and we will sell it to the customer. So basically, whatever they just keep very small amount of profit, and rest the dairy farmer gets all the money. So this particularly this cooperative model basically revolutionized the dairy markets, dairy industry, and it empowered the market. It raised a lot of quality demand, quality dairy products in the market, and also it empowered the rural farmers, especially women, in the process. Right. Third is stakeholders engagement. Stakeholder engagement is basically where all the stakeholders are involved and aligned with the enterprise's mission and market strategies. So Selco is one of the example that we just studied before. Selco provides the sustainable energy solutions to the underserved communities, and they engage stakeholders through grassroots root level and involvement as they and they also provide solutions that help in creating a solution that might help the community needs, right? Then we have is innovative revenue model. Innovative revenue model means the exploring and implementing a model that will support the social mission while ensuring the financial sustainability. So here Araku coffee is one of the grown tribal community in the Valley that uses this model of where this premium organic coffee is sold to the international markets, and that supports the livelihood and the development of the local farmers. So innovative revenue models is where you use some strategy you use such strategy that uh, this particular community or enterprise can be supported. You know this social mission can be supported and the financial sustainability can also be supported. Last we okay then we have is impact measurement and reporting. Impact measurement and reporting means that we regularly assess and communicate the social impact of the enterprise. For example, Teach for India measures and reports its impact in transforming education sector by recruiting and training fellows to teach the low income student and thus addressing the educational equity. So they actually uh, every time they assess and communicate it. Then we have is Then we have is adaptive business model, where the purpose is to maintain flexibility in the business operations to adapt to changing market conditions without losing sight of the market mission. For example, Jaipur Rugs connects the rural artisans with the global market, so they adopt their business model to changing markets, and now have. They've started selling their items for the home decor companies. So and they started marketing their product as a home decor, and that has preserved the traditional rug making techniques and still has way to enter the households of the urban and the also enter the luxury markets as well. Now, developing a business plan for a social venture. um, plan is something that we've already studied it in unit number 2. So when we are talking about the goal alignment, it ensures that the campaign activities supports the measurable outcomes. Audience targeting means the selected segment gets all the messages, all the responses, and everything. Creative ideation means that we're developing the visuals and narrative that um, attracts the attention of the consumer. And performance monitoring, that means tracking the results to adjust strategies in the real time. Now, when we are talking about the measurement and evaluation, that means that we are trying to identify the success indicators, basically matrix through which we can identify how much engagement has increased, how much conversion effectiveness has been taken place, what is the message reach, what is the long term impact on the audience loyalty. Then we have this future marketing and opportunities where some things needs to be changed in the slide. For example, okay, fine, I'll just do that. Okay, future marketing opportunities, that means enhancing personalization through message accuracy, through better uh, improving the message accuracy so that people can just have a you know get the exact message, and whatever the social enterprise is trying to achieve, that can be communicated to the audience perfectly. Enhancing personalization is basically message that is crafted as per the organization, as per the as per the requirement of the receiver, so that can give the better insight. Then next we have is technology integration. Now, leveraging tools that streamline the market execution is very important. See, nowadays the technology is something that one is leveraging, right? Whenever there is any people working for a social cause, or people um, you know telling their ideas or communicating their ideas, so they use the technology. They take the leverage of the technology and use it for the betterment of their cause. So that is very important that um, technology is used. That's it. I will just check if this is completed or not. Just give me 1 minute. I'll just check it. Okay. So I guess we have some of the portion that is left, which I will be covering up in the next class, right? I will share this PPT. It is still a little bit incomplete. I will just complete it and then I will share it with you all, right? Um, till now, like I'm winding up this class, and if you have any doubts, if anything that you want me to repeat or ask or share anything, feel free to do that, please. Okay, I will share this PPT in the group once it is completed, and you can have access to it. I will share it with the CR. And that's it for today. We'll meet in the next class and we will complete this unit number 5 and we'll start with the revision of unit number 4.